All right. Welcome to Unfiltered. This is a side note. Today I'm going to be reading out of Luke chapter 14. It says, one Sabbath when Jesus went to eat in the house of a prominent Pharisee, he was being carefully watched. There in front of him was a man suffering from abnormal swelling of his body. Jesus asked the Pharisees and experts in the law, is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath or not? But they remained silent. So taking hold of the man, he healed him and sent him on his way. Then he asked them, if one of you has a child or an ox that falls into a well on the Sabbath day, will you not immediately pull it out? And they had nothing to say. When he went into this house, it says that they were watching him closely. You see, the religious leaders of the day were very envious and jealous of Jesus. And they couldn't stand the fact that he was getting all of this attention. And they didn't like the authority that he had when he spoke. So they were always watching him carefully and trying to trick him, trying to cause him to stumble over his words. And so in their custom on the Sabbath day, it was a day for you not to work. It was considered a day of rest. And they took it to a far degree more than it was ever intended. And they said anything that you did at all on the Sabbath was wrong. And so Jesus goes into this house. And he recognizes that he is being watched carefully, and he notices someone in there that has abnormal swelling. And before he heals him, he says to these experts in the law and these people who supposedly love God, and they said, is it lawful for you to heal someone on the Sabbath? And it says, and they remained silent. See, as they were always trying to trick Jesus, he always came back with such authority that it perplexed them and it caused them to be confused, and they never could trick him, even though they tried time after time. So he asked them, is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath? And they remained silent. And then he healed the man on the Sabbath, and then he sent him on his way. And then he asked him a question to prove that he does have the authority, to prove that what he is saying and what he believes is correct. And as they were trying to trick him, he beat them with his words. And he said, if you, on the Sabbath, if you have a child or an ox or one of your animals or a family member, if they fall into a well, if they are in need of your help, will you not immediately on a Sabbath day get up and go and help them? See, good is always good and wrong is always wrong. Right is always right. Wrong is always wrong. Foolishness is always foolishness, and wisdom is always wisdom. And so Jesus, he said, look, y'all are taking this that God has given you, and you're turning it into wrong. You are making it a burden on people when it was never intended. It was to let you know on that day of rest that you don't have to work all the time because God is providing for you. But they turned it into where if you do anything for anybody, then you are breaking the law, you are breaking the Sabbath. They have turned something that was good and turned it into wrong. And when he asked them, if your child or if your ox fell into a well, will you not immediately go and help? They still had nothing to say. Because every time they argued with Jesus, they lost. Every single time. They tried to trick him. They tried to frame him. They tried to do all of these things. And every time they debated him, they lost every time. And they walked away in silence. He dropped the mic every time he argued with them. Because they were trying to be righteous in their own eyes. For the sake of glory. For the sake of pride. So other people thought better of them. So other people thought really highly of them. Like I said in a few videos, they thought more highly of themselves than they ought to. They thought, I am amazing and you are nothing. And here's this carpenter's son, he's making all this noise and we can't stand it. We have to find a way to trick him. And because they were experts of the law, they were always trying to throw these scenarios out to Jesus, but he never fell for any of their tricks. He beat them every time. And he beat him with the absolute logic of the law that said, look, if your son or daughter was injured on a Sabbath, you know that you would get up and help them. It is not wrong to help people on the Sabbath. The day is intended for you to reflect on God's faithfulness, to take a day of rest. But it was never intended for you to ignore those who were in need. Just like the Good Samaritan. They were too busy doing their own things and thinking about themselves that they didn't actually stop and give help to someone who desperately needed it. And so Jesus, he healed the man in front of them. And then he asked them this question and he walked away justified. And he won the conversation as he did every time. See, some people do good just to be seen, and some people do good just for the sake of doing good, just for the sake of being good. In AA, they say, do the next right thing. It doesn't have to make sense all the time. Just keep doing good. Keep blessing people. Keep helping people. Quit being so selfish and so self-centered. Go out of your way to do something for someone else. That is the fulfillment of the law. And that is what Jesus was making so clear to them as they were trying to trick him. And then he goes on as he is in this house, and he says this. When he noticed how the guests picked the places of honor at the table, he told them this parable. When someone invites you to a wedding feast, do not take the place of honor, for a person more distinguished than you may have been invited. If so, the host who invited both of you will come and say to you, give this person your seat. Then, humiliated, you will have to take the least important place. But when you are invited, take the lowest place, so that when your host comes, he will say to you, friend, move up to a better place. Then you will be honored in the presence of all the other guests. For all those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. Then Jesus said to his host, when you give a luncheon or a dinner, do not invite your friends, your brothers or sisters, your relatives or your rich neighbors. If you do, they may invite you back so that you will be repaid. But when you give a banquet, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, the blind, and you will be blessed. Although they cannot repay you, you will be repaid at the resurrection of the righteous. So as he's made this point about this man that he just healed, he notices things about them. And he notices that people come in and the highest seat at the table, the most important, prominent seat, people come in and they just assume this must be my seat. See, people think too highly of themselves. I should be worshiped and all of you are nothing. And he said, when you are invited, instead of automatically assuming that that's your seat, you should sit in the lower places. So that when the host comes, he can say, hey friend, move up here. But if you sit in the highest seat, and then someone who has more importance than you do comes in, then they will have to move you down and you will be humiliated in front of your friends. Jesus is making all of these points because he is showing them how their heart is. He's showing them that your heart reflects selfishness and self-centeredness. And then he says, those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. It's kind of irritating when you see an interview from a famous person or a basketball player or a football player, and you can tell by the interview that they're thinking, let me go mingle with the common folk a few minutes and give this interview because I am so incredible. Let me go give a few minutes of my time. It is so much more appealing if they have humility along with their great gifts. Along with the amazing things they're able to do, they still have this attitude of humility that says, I remember where I came from and I remember who I am. And I don't have to exalt myself. I can humble myself because God is the one who's given me these talents. See, your heart reflects what's important to you. And then Jesus says, when you're having a banquet or a luncheon or whatever you're doing, don't just invite your friends and your family and everyone, because if you do, then they're going to have to repay you for what you've done. He said, invite the crippled, the lame, the poor, those who are disregarded. And even though they may not be able to repay you, even though they themselves may not be able to repay you, you will be repaid by God at the resurrection and in life. So it's funny because some people only do stuff for other people because they know they're going to get something out of it. I'm going to do this for you, but you owe me one. And Jesus is saying, go out of your way to help people that cannot repay you. Bless others with no expectation of being repaid in return, because by doing this, you are sowing good seed and your blessing will come back, not only in this life, but in the life to come. Jesus is saying, go out and be a blessing, not to be seen, but to actually show unconditional love and to help. I have found that helping other people is the most satisfying thing I have ever done in my life. It sustains me. It carries me. When I look in the mirror, there's a man of integrity looking back, and I absolutely love it because for most of my life, I was broken down, I was beaten, and I was not a man of integrity. But when you get to meet God, things change. He puts this joy inside of you, and it is your strong desire to go out and help those who need your help. Helping broken people is the most satisfying thing I've ever done in my life. Remember, do good not because people are watching you. Do good for the sake of doing good, to give back that which God has given to you. We are constantly repaying God for all that He's done for us. And by doing that, we are showing Him gratitude. We are giving Him thanks. We are worshiping Him because He has carried us and helped us such a long way. All of these things that Jesus was teaching, He's always pointing things out, and He's revealing the motives of your heart. He's showing these men, yes, y'all know that book, and yes, you know the law, but you don't know Him and you don't know love. This man is in need of help, and it doesn't matter if it's the Sabbath or not. He needs to be healed. Is it wrong to heal on the Sabbath? And they remained silent because they could care less about this man. They just wanted to be right, and they wanted to trick Jesus. You have to watch for the people that you hang around and what motives they have in your life. Some people are just looking for what you can give them. How can I interact with this person, and how will it make my life better? They're trying to take from you. And then there are others who want to be here to help you, to lift you up, to pour into you. As you pour out into other people, you have to surround yourself that can pour with people who can pour back into you, or you will be drained and you will be weak. There has to be balance. The things in my life, they are amazing. Every good thing that I have, it came from Him. I do not regret the decision to let God in my life, and I do not regret leaving all of these things in the past that were enslaving, because they were beating me down and they were tormenting me. Love is an amazing thing. It is the most powerful thing on the planet, and it does create lasting transformation. Walk around and bless people, not because they can repay you back, because you are repaying God for His faithfulness and all that He's done. I tell you today, and I tell you tonight, and I tell you right now, God is so good. He is so satisfying. My cup runs over. I used to have this emptiness inside of me, and He has filled it with joy. And even when I have bad days, I bless Him and I keep pressing forward. This is all one long journey. Ups, downs, ins and out. God has carried me step by step. And I speak these words to you to be an encouragement. God bless you. Have a good day.